what's up guys? I'm back here with another video. This time around it's gonna be a little different. It's not about DVDs or Blu-rays or video games. I'm gonna be talking about heavy metal and rock and roll books, hard books that I've had. I'm not pulling out all of them because I have a bunch of them in my storage unit, but I am gonna show you guys the ones that I have here in my house that are ready to be packed up and put into a storage unit because I don't have space here in the house to keep an entire library or bookshelf. But regardless, there's not too many books, but I'm still going to show you guys what I have and what I've been reading throughout the years. First off, I want to start with a book called Enter Night. And this is a Metallica biography by Mick Wall. And it's really comprehensive. It's really good. They have a lot of information from day one since they started the band. Really popular band throughout. They started off in the San Francisco Bay, and then they're worldwide. They're all over the place. So yeah, this is called Enter Night from Metallica. It has James Hetfield on the cover, and on the back it has Lars Ulrich, which basically they're the two geniuses behind Metallica. And of course they picked up the great Kirk Hammett, in '82. And they also, they got Cliff Burton. But before Cliff and Kirk, they started off with Ron McGovney and Mr. Dave Mustaine. But they both got fired. And, eventually Cliff became the bassist. And Kirk Hammett became the guitarist. And that would be the lineup that went all the way through Master of Puppets and then Injustice for All. But then Cliff, passed away in a tragic bus accident in Sweden, and they had to replace him with a man named Jason Newsted, and and the story goes on and on and on. Great book, a lot of pages here, a lot of information here. There's over 150 pages of great Metallica history. There you have the original Metallica lineup with Ron McGovney and Dave Mustaine, and then you have them there partying like in little bars and little clubs and stuff. And the great mastermind here, Cliff Burton. I've always said when Cliff Burton died, Metallica died, because they've never been the same after Cliff Burton passed away. They've never recovered from it. None of the records are not even compared to the first three records, in my opinion. Master of Puppets, Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning. Those are great albums, and they were all with Cliff Burton. And Justice for All was really good, but the bass was missing. And then came the Black Album and the Loads, and I don't think none of that would have happened if Cliff Burton was alive. But anyways, really good book written here by Mick Wall. Really good biography of the story of Metallica in its entirety. Fantastic. Then I got another great American band here, Pearl Jam. This is the FAQ of Pearl Jam. This is a really entertaining book because it goes back and forth. They talk about songs, they talk about tours, they talk about band members, they talk about other bands, and it's really fun, man. It's a really good reference book. They talk about everything, and it's very detailed. And they go into details about the songs they've written and what they mean, the meaning behind it, how they wrote it, how they got together. It talks about set lists and live shows and all that stuff. Obviously, one of the greatest American bands of all time, Pearl Jam. They're still kicking ass. They've had the same band members for many years, which has been, of course, the singer Eddie Vedder and Stone Gossard, Jeff Admin, Matt Cameron, and Mike McCready on lead guitar. And man, this is an excellent band coming from Seattle, and it's basically pretty much the only band left from Seattle since Kurt Cobain killed himself, Soundgarden, Chris Cornell killed himself, Lane from Alice in Chains killed himself, Scott Weiland killed himself, and the list goes on. But yeah, man, Seattle bands were great in the 90s, but Pearl Jam is probably the only remaining true Seattle band that's still rocking. Talking about Pearl Jam, I got the hardcover book here of 20. This is Pearl Jam 20, celebrating their 20 years as a band together. Really, really cool book. Fantastic, with a bunch of unreleased pictures. Great pictures here. You got Jeff Admin, and you know there's a lot of chapters here. They talk about a lot of their epic concerts and their festivals and how they got together, and it breaks it down year by year all the way to you know they reached the 20-year mark. This is over 375 pages of information and great pictures in this. This was a little more expensive. It was $40 because you know it's a hardcover and you know it's a bigger book. And also there's a DVD here. It didn't come with a book, but there's also a DVD which I also have, but it's in my storage unit, and it's about Pearl Jam 20, and it's again them talking about 20 years of being Pearl Jam, one of the greatest bands of the United States. Excellent band. Then I got here another book called This Day in Music, and basically what this is like a calendar. It goes by day, like you know, all from January 1st all the way to December 31st, and they basically tell you what happened on that day of you know different years. Like for example, November 23rd, 1899, the world's first jukebox was installed in San Francisco Royal Hotel. And you know it talks about you know the 1800s, the 1950s, the 80s, the 70s. It dates way back to the 1800s, and it's very detailed. It's not as detailed, but they kind of tell you like what happened on certain days. So if you want to check out what happened on May 1st, you go to May 1st and you see everything, all the important dates that the important years that happened on May 1st and stuff. Really cool book. It was like $14, and it's very interesting. It's a good bathroom break, like a bathroom read. Then I got here another hardcover here, Kurt Cobain Journals, and this is a very interesting book. Everything that Kurt Cobain does to me is very interesting. He was the leader of my generation, and he put out great songs, great records, and this is a pretty cool, interesting book, which basically you know, it shows you know, stuff that he wrote on his journals, handwritten by him, a bunch of handwritten notes and a bunch of handwritten stuff. He talks about his concerts. He talks about bands that he likes. He talks about ideas that he has for the future, for the bands and stuff. And you know, he pretty much wrote a lot. And it also has like lyrics to famous songs here. Like he has you could see the lyrics of Lounge Act on a Plane, you know, how he wrote it and stuff. So it's a very interesting book, and this book actually gave me inspiration to write my own journal, which I actually started in about 2002, 2003, which is about the time that this book came out. Fantastic idea to write your own journal and just write everything, not everything, but the most important thing that happens to you throughout life. And it's interesting. I say it's interesting because sometimes I look back and I flip through the pages of the 2003 book that I first wrote, and I don't remember half of those stuff, but since I'm reading it, it comes back to me. So it's a really cool, interesting thing to do. But I'm happy that I got that book from Kurt Cobain, because that's the one that inspired me to do that. Then I got here Metallica, Nothing Else Matters. This is the stories behind the biggest songs. And basically what this is a smaller book, and basically what they talk about is like, you know, the song meanings and how they came about with the songs, and it starts all the way from Kill 'Em All to the Saint Anger days. Of course, it talks about Sad But True, it talks about Bob Rock, it talks about To Live Is To Die, Shortest Straw, Battery, Trapped Under Ice, Escape, Ride the Lightning, and so on. The biggest songs, basically, with this book, they talk about what the songs are about. If you're confused, this is a really good source to find out what Metallica songs are about. You know, with the meanings of the lyrics and stuff. Then I got here Paul McCartney. This is called The Life, and to be honest with you, I did not read this. This is very fat book. It's a very thick book. This is over 850 pages. This is basically a Bible of Paul McCartney. And I got it for a very cheap price at Barnes and Noble in the bargain section. Probably cost me like $7 or $8. So it was worth it. And to be honest with you, I began to read it, but I only read like about 90 pages, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna read 850 pages of Paul McCartney. And yeah, but if anyone's interested in Paul McCartney, this is a great book. You know, it was written by Philip Norman and Paul McCartney himself. There's also another version of it, the John Lennon version of it, also entitled The Life. But this is the Paul McCartney edition. So if you're a Paul McCartney fan, definitely pick this one up. And it's pretty cheap right now at Barnes & Noble. Then I got here the biography of Mr. Dave Mustaine. One of my favorite rock musicians of all time. This guy deserves to be in a throne. He is a metal god. His guitar playing is amazing. His vocals are awesome. His creativity is awesome, badass. And this is not too bad of a book. It goes by quick. It's 340 pages, but the letterings are pretty big, and it's not that big of a book. Really awesome book. If you're into Dave Mustaine and Megadeth, they talk a lot about how Megadeth got started, from the day that he got kicked out of Metallica, how he felt, why he got kicked out of Metallica, and all that stuff. Really cool book. It has a bunch of cool, weird, pictures and stuff, never before seen. You got pictures here from the early 90s, and you got a young Dave Mustaine there as well. Really cool stuff here. The Dave Mustaine biography book, just simply called Mustaine. Badass. I love Dave Mustaine. He's one of my favorite rockers of all time. And then I got here a book called Too Much Horror Business. This is the Kirk Hammett. This is a look into the Kirk Hammett private collection that he has in his house. He is a huge horror like old school horror fan. So he has a bunch of like statues and toys and guitars and paintings of Hollywood's oldest creepy monsters and stuff, like Frankenstein and the creature from the Black Lagoon, and the Bride of Frankenstein and Wolfman and all that stuff. So this is a really interesting book, and it's a really cool look at his personal collection that he has. There's even pictures of his room full of like cool drawings of like old school horror stuff. He's a big time horror collector, and that's pretty fucking badass. And the last book I have here is another Metallica book here. My favorite band, of course, if you haven't noticed by now, this is my favorite band. This is the Metallica Illustrated Chronicle. This is called So What? The Good, the Mad, and the Ugly. And basically what this is a compilation of a bunch of different articles from their magazine called So What. They have a magazine called So What for like fan club and stuff. And yeah, man, this is a really interesting book, and I believe it's kind of hard to find, and it cost me $30 when it came out. But it's a really, really cool book with a lot of pictures and a lot of articles and a lot of interviews with James, Lars, Kirk, Jason, and of course, the Cliff Burton's also in it. Really cool stuff here from Metallica, and it's a really cool book to own. So that's basically it. Well, I'm gonna talk about this one too. This is not rock related, but it's the ultimate history of video games. This is a great reference book if you're into video games and you want to find out how video games started and how it came about. I highly recommend this book. Really cool. But yeah, other than that, this is all that I have here. I have a lot of more books in my storage unit. A lot of Guns N' Roses books. I have the Nikki Sixx book, the Heroin Diaries. I have Marilyn Manson books, but they're all locked up in the storage, and I can't. I'll show them one day, but not right now, because these are the ones that I have here, and these are the ones that are gonna get sent to the storage because I really don't have the space for them, and life changes sometimes. So until next time, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Really cool heavy metal books. Most of them are heavy metal. You know, Pearl Jam is out there, Nirvana's out there. But yeah, man, cool books, cool readings. If you guys want to recommend me any books that I should read, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you guys around pretty soon. Until next time, bye bye.